My department is now investigating nearly 11,000 individuals from more than 100 countries for attempting to cheat Canada and Canadians. If you want to become a Canadian citizen, we merely ask that you play by the rules as the vast majority of people do. Respect our country, and you have to be honest. And that means Canadian citizenship is not for sale.
Imagine that, asking people to play by the rules and saying citizenship not for sale. It's shocking. I'm sure it will be denounced, but it is to be welcomed. Here's a couple of quick stats for you before we turn to Immigration Minister Jason Kenney, who's standing by. 3,100 people obtained their citizenship fraudulently, 5,000 implicated in residence fraud, and 2,500 additional concerns. That's quite the list. Immigration Minister Jason Kenney joining us now. I was talking with a colleague earlier today, and they said, you know, before this government, I don't ever remember hearing of the feds revoking somebody's citizenship. Mm-hmm. You're booting out a lot of people.
Well, whoever said that is right, because the Citizenship Act came into effect in 1947. Between then and our crackdown starting a couple of years ago, Canada only revoked citizenship from 70 people who had obtained it fraudulently. Since then, since I launched these investigations, this inquiry 2-3 years ago, we have identified at least 3,100 people who we believe fraudulently obtained citizenship. We have the intention of revoking it from them. So that's the difference. And to be honest with you, the real question is, why wasn't this done a long time ago? I have a hard time believing that fraud in our citizenship program just started in the last 5 years.
Well, I would as well. Meanwhile, some people would say, well, this government's just anti-immigrant. That's why they're doing it. But you're bringing in record numbers of new people every year. And I've told you, on some levels, I think when you add up all the different categories, I think that sometimes we're bringing in too many at times.
Most Canadians do think that. But, you know, we're trying to strike a balance. We are welcoming the largest number of highest level of sustained immigration in Canadian history, the highest per capita level in the developed world.
When you add in the foreign workers, the foreign students,
just
all the
residents,
categories.
250, 260,000 permanent residents a year. It's a very big number. And 80% go on to become citizens. 165, 170,000 go on to become citizens every year. The point is, Brian, whether you agree with us or not in terms of the numbers, whether they're too high or too low, you have to admit that this government and this country are maintaining our tradition of generosity and openness. But my sense is that Canadians will only support that openness if they have the sense that immigration is serving Canada's interests and that it's characterized by the rule of law, by the consistent application of fair rules. And that is why, without apology, I placed an emphasis on reinforcing the integrity of the program, in this case saying that Canadian citizenship is not for sale.
So how was it for sale in this case, or in these cases? We've talked before, you've described to me people having, in China, the Burgundy suitcase mafia, where you found a group of people always had the same backdrop for their photos, and that's how the bureaucrats found them. There were other people selling packages to get you Canadian citizenship in the Middle East. What's going on here? Are you finding more organized rings, or are these individuals using crooked consultants here? What's going on?
Yeah, more the latter. To the typical profile of what's happening here, by the way, of the 3,100 people who fraudulently obtained citizenship that we've identified so far, they come from over 100 countries of origin. So this is not just one country or region. Having said that, probably a disproportionate number are coming from the Middle East and the Gulf states in particular. We are typically talking here about quite well-off people living in tax havens who are making decent money. Consultants come along, and I've seen the ads that they circulate on the internet saying, if you get citizenship in Canada, you can double your salary in the United Arab Emirates, for example. A Western passport demands that much more in the labor market. Plus you get the best political insurance in the world. The Canadians will help you out when you're in trouble, and you'll be able to get out of any political problem or situation. And thirdly, you'll get free health care in Canada. Your kids can go to the best universities in Canada at subsidized rates. So there's an entire very attractive package. Now, to access
that sounds like a good deal.
Pretty good deal. You need to do two things. A, to get status as an immigrant, a permanent resident in Canada, which is not that hard to do if you're qualified. And then once you have that immigration status, the consultant says, don't worry, you don't have to leave Dubai or Hong Kong or Beirut or whatever it is to move to Canada. Stay there, I'll take care of the rest. for a tidy fee of $20,000 or $25,000. I will create a fake residential address in Canada, fake utility bills, fake subscriptions, fake club memberships, and I will submit that package of counterfeit documents to the Immigration Department when you've passed your 3 years as fake evidence that you have met the legal requirement for residency of 3 out of 4 years. We stumbled on this, because work so closely with immigrant communities. They were telling me about this. People in the Lebanese community in Montreal were disgusted to see this happening, being organized by people in a couple of guys in their community as crooked consultants. And so I was being told about this from the grassroots level. And we raised it with my department, and in turn with the RCMP and the CBSA. They launched the investigation, and sure enough, we identified just a handful of consultants who had, I want to thank them, they had kept scrupulous records about how they had committed the fraud. When the RCMP went into their office and seized their computers, their fraud was recorded in great detail. And if I were one of their clients, I'd be demanding a refund right now.
This happens, as you say, though, across the country and all over. You mentioned in a previous chat we had about people in Vancouver coming to you and saying, you've got to see what they're doing to bring over people from China, Mr. Kenney. You've got to stop this. So it is quite often people in the immigrant communities annoyed with what's happening. Is this because they waited so long in line to get here?
They have a stake in the system. And let's face it, the vast majority of people who immigrate to Canada and become citizens are law-abiding, tax-paying people who are keen on building the country and understandably resent the people who they know through their community networks are abusing the country's generosity, are living abroad and not paying Canadian taxes, but who are coming here and using their taxpayer-funded services. And I'll tell you what, I never see anything prouder than the look in the eye of a new Canadian citizen who's pledged that oath, who's maybe come here as a victim of persecution, who's come with dreams and a work ethic, and they want to pass this on to their kids. And they want to protect the value of that citizenship against these fraudsters and cheats, and that's exactly what we're doing on their behalf.
All right, Jason Kenney, you heard it directly from the horse's mouth. Well, what do you think of what he had to say? Byline@sunmedia.ca. Thumb up or thumb down, send us your views. More to come.